Welcome in the latest episode of Betting the Pitch, the European Soccer Edition. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner. We are 30 and 10 on our best bets, our ultimate best bet that comes end of show. So stick around for the next 40 minutes. I'll be going through the English Premier League, La Liga in Spain, Serie A in Italy, Ligue 1 in France, and the German Bundesliga, and trying to find some best bets. I also should tweet this out to make sure people know that we are live. And then it's time to go into it. Time to get to it. It's trying to find some winners on this Saturday, Sunday, and Monday card. Okay, that's tweeted out. Let's start where the money is in the English Premier League. We'll start with Leicester City, a goal and a half underdog at home to Arsenal. Totals 2 and 3/4, juiced heavily to under. Leicester City, they've got a big home crowd, as do most soccer clubs, but they are just not good enough. Unfortunately, I don't really believe in Arsenal. They've dealing with so many injuries. I believe they lost Kai Havertz for the season in their Dubai training sessions, probably sponsored by oil money. I just don't really believe in Arsenal at this point, but I still think they're that much better than Leicester City. Leicester has really proven through now two managers that they just don't have the quality to defend. And that's like the one place you have to start in all sports betting, but specifically in soccer. So I think I will skip that one, the early window. No need to wake up at 6:30 a.m. with a huge slate of soccer and a huge slate of college basketball. If you're not following me on Instagram, do so at the real underscore G Warner. Same on YouTube at the real underscore G Warner. Then Betting the Pitch podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Plus, if you want all picks across all sports, check out patreon.com/the real underscore G Warner. Move next to the big window of England games. We'll start with Fulham hosting Nottingham Forest, calling Fulham a quarter goal favorite with all the juice. Total is 2.5, juice more slightly by a couple cents, couple pennies to the under. Nottingham Forest to me, they've been so consistent so far this season. And ultimately, to me, they've had some kind of ups and downs lately, some major ups, some major downs. But going on the road to Fulham, who just haven't really been playing well, I think puts Nottingham Forest in a pretty good position. Nottingham Forest, to me, they are one of the lowest possession teams in the Premier League. Hold on as I move my uh, iPad. One of the lowest possession teams in the English Premier League, but like that doesn't shouldn't stop you or change your opinion on them. Surprisingly, they're still very good at scoring goals, and honestly, I love that setup for defending your own net and for also springing counterattacks. I think that's the most efficient way to score goals. Fulham have not been playing great. They are good at controlling the ball. They've had a good start to the season, but ultimately they don't have much to fear in terms of relegation, as it seems like the bottom is pretty much already cast at this point. The die is cast, die are cast. But at this point, I do think that Nottingham Forest are worth a look, getting any sort of underdog price, even though it's away from home. And honestly, the juice looks like it's all on Fulham right now, so we might get a half of a goal. So we go on the road, draw, and still win a full bet on Nottingham Forest. Move next to Aston Villa hosting Ipswich Town. Currently, Aston Villa a 1 1/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Ipswich away. Totals 2 and 3/4. Juice all the way to over. Aston Villa got rid of Juan Duran. Sold him to Saudi Arabia or some rich country. And that's made, I think, makes me question the depth of Aston Villa. But at this point, until Ollie Watkins gets hurt, that's perfectly fine for Ollie. And he's the best striker on the team and maybe in England at this point. Because he's not getting 18 penalties already this season like Harry Kane has. Hot take right there. But Ipswich Town, they've been up and down, but they've shown away from home that they're willing to really defend, just buckle in and try to keep teams from scoring. It worked very well against Arsenal in a 1-0 loss, if I recall correctly, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago now, who knows? Everything runs together. But the big question is going on the road to Aston Villa, where they've played very well at home for years. I just don't know necessarily, though, that I trust Aston Villa to score this much. I think I'll probably bet that there will be less scoring than is expected. We have even money right now under 2 and 3/4. I think my biggest interest is under three if we get there, but I'll put under 2 and 3/4 down. And I guess by that logic, low scoring game, I do like the 1 1/4 goals that Ipswich are currently getting, but it's not enough for me to probably play around as it's really just the Liam Delop show. Move next to West Ham United hosting Brentford, calling West Ham a quarter goal favorite. Right now, all the juice on Brentford away. Total is 3, just slightly more to over. This was a jockeying back and forth from Pick'em to Brentford getting a quarter of a goal. I imagine that will continue until kickoff. But West Ham, I've liked what I've seen under Graham Potter since he was hired. Brentford have had a horrible away record, but then a great home record. They're probably somewhere in between. Not as good at home, not as bad away. But with that said, I think West Ham dropped back down to a pick 'em. I think I'm interested in that side, though it's pretty juiced, or it has been when I've seen it. I also don't really trust Brentford to score goals away from home. Their defense is problematic, but West Ham haven't really been doing much offensively either. So I think current numbers, biggest interest is Brentford under 3 goals. We'll move next to Southampton hosting Bournemouth. Currently, Southampton a 1.25 goal underdog with almost all the juice. Totals 3.25, juice more to the over. Southampton have one of the most conservative but possession friendly managers possible. I think it's great for a bad team that's focused on trying to stay in Premier League and are not worrying about winning matches. I think Ivan Juric is a perfect fit for them. But it hasn't really gone well for him. There's been a lot of goals scored, a lot of just, as he says, naivete when they've had leads. And honestly, they've had some good results, but a long way to go. And one of the worst teams to have coming into town with Bournemouth, who are going to sit back, try to counterattack on you, and feast on Southampton mistakes. All those things add up in a poor direction for Southampton and makes them a big underdog, though they've played very well at home over the years at St. Mary's. The big question is this year's squad that much worse than everyone else, so they're not able to stay up no matter how big or how supportive or how much that crowd helps. And that might be the case. I think biggest interest for me right now is under 3.25 goals, though I'm really sick of Southampton playing out of the back and getting scored on. But I think Ivan Juric has helped them and will help them to stabilize that. And Southampton, I think, have been a good underbet at times and look to be here, especially against a Bournemouth side that's going to say, you have the ball and see what you do with it. Problem is, Southampton has fallen those bear traps many times this season. Move next to Manchester City, hosting Newcastle. Current City, a 0.5 goal favorite at home. Almost all the juice on Newcastle away. Total is 3.5, juice all the way to under. Really tough spot for Manchester City, of course, coming off Real Madrid's first leg in Champions League, and then have second leg coming up as well. Newcastle are one of the best teams, I think, in the Premier League, especially because they're not playing in any European competitions. They've made it to Wembley Stadium for the Carabao Cup EFL Cup final. And the problem for Newcastle, though, is they're so good at home, and there's a big gap for how they've played away. I do think they've kind of stabilized that. We'll see what their lineup looks like, as I know they have some health problems, specifically with Anthony Gordon. With that said, I'm still looking to be against Manchester City as much as I can. I think there is some correlated if you're looking for Newcastle 0.5 goal underdog away to also the under 3.5. I just feel like we could see a high scoring game here, which just certainly makes the underdog a little bit less valuable. But being against Manchester City with a huge match coming up is, I think, worth it. Last but not least, on Saturday, we have Crystal Palace and Everton. Currently, Palace a 0.5 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is 2.25, and she's very heavily to under right now. Could see this fall to 2. That seems surprising to me based on Premier League not really getting there. So I'll wait and see, especially with late money coming in. It usually hits the over. Palace have been performing much better than they had to start the season. Killed it end of last year. Were horrible beginning of this year, but have really improved. Everton, to me, I mean, they've got big problems. I still don't trust them to score goals with DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, injured or with him in there. Beto is a beast, but I don't know that he's refined enough. And Crystal Palace, the defense, they do have some problems, but I just don't think that Everton are really in a position to test them. So biggest interest for me in that one is under 2.25 goals. Crystal Palace hosting Everton. We'll move to Sunday. We have Liverpool a 2 goal favorite to Wolves. A little bit more juice on the Liverpool home side. Totals 3.5, juice all the way to under. Liverpool, I mean, top of the league, top of Champions League, I believe, and have been just incredible across all competitions. Arne Slot is a great manager, speaks well, and there's not much you can do to point flaws out in Liverpool. Wolves, opposite. There's so many problems. They can't afford anybody, apparently. I don't know who lost a ton of money gambling or whatever the heck had happened, but Wolves are in big trouble, fighting relegation, going on the road to Anfield with a lot to play for because they want to extend that Premier League lead as much as they can. Just nothing really adds up here or works well for Wolves. So I think I will sit on the sidelines and wait to see Wolves somehow stabilize, though they just don't seem to have enough pieces for that. Last but not least, Tottenham hosting Manchester United. Currently, Tottenham a pick 'em right now at home, all the juice. Totals 3.25, just pretty heavily to under. It's two teams that go the opposite directions. I feel like Tottenham are an over club. Manchester United are an under one, and I don't really love when those match up. I'd love to kind of see one of each or both kind of pointing the same direction. With that said, I do think Tottenham look a little bit cheap here at only pick 'em. Yes, all the juice is on the Tottenham side, but I'm intrigued there. And I think for a total, I'll lean to under 3.25, but that would be a bet that Ange Postecoglou has successfully changed his spots, or at least is more interested in playing a pragmatic style than his Ange ball, which he's basically vowed to never do. We'll see what that ends up turning into, but I do think we see potentially a lower scoring game, and I think anytime you get above 3 goals in any sort of total, I think you're always getting value at the end of it. The problem, of course, is that Tottenham is involved, and they can certainly ship three and score three themselves. So maybe not worth stepping in the deep end of the pool on that one. As for the ultimate best bet, I nominate one game from each of the leagues, and then I pick my favorite at the end of the show, and that's what we're 30 and 10, 75% so far this season. For my best bet in England, I'm tempted by Nottingham Forest as a quarter goal underdog away from home. That is, of course, of great interest. I like Newcastle getting a half of a goal against a team that's looking ahead in coming off a Champions League match midweek, and I think that's where I'll go. I'll go Newcastle, a half of a goal underdog on the road at Manchester City. Move now to Spanish La Liga. As soon as I can click the button on this iPad, let's do it. Come on. Come on, baby. There we are. Okay. First match, we'll start with Leganés hosting Alaves in a very similar sounding ending of words, though Leganés from the Madrid capital of Spain and Alaves in the Basque Country. But looks like Leganés a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 1 3/4, used very heavily to over. I don't play unders below two. I just feel like there's so many things that can go wrong in an under. And if you're really hoping for it to end 1 or 0, good luck to you. It certainly is profitable and can win. But I like Leganés a quarter goal underdog at home. I think they've been playing very well and haven't really been getting results, including missing 2 penalties in stoppage time a few Fridays ago. Alaves on the other side, they've been really struggling. I don't really trust them to score goals either. So road favorite makes very little sense. And I'm honestly not too afraid if this moves to pick them. For now, I like Leganés getting that quarter of a goal. Nothing for me on the total until we get to two. Osasuna then hosts Real Madrid, as we just spoke about with Real Madrid in Champions League at Manchester City. A lot going on in those minds. Osasuna currently a 1 goal underdog at home, although juice on Real Madrid. Total is three, juiced all the way, or excuse me, juiced a little bit more to over. I lean to Osasuna getting a full goal of insurance at home when they play very well at El Sadar. On the Real Madrid side, of course, they have Manchester City on their minds. They could potentially, with a 1 goal lead, just really get defensive, though they just don't really have a ton of defensive options. That does certainly put an under at risk, but I also like the side here on Osasuna at home. I think there's a good chance that Real Madrid, though they are fighting in La Liga for the title there, they're just really worried about trophies. And so I think anything they can do to potentially put themselves in the best position to advance in Champions League is what they will do. So I like the home underdog getting the goal of insurance, and I like under three as a way to potentially, I guess, split if Real Madrid do win this match 2-0. Osasuna do find some goals at home, but against Real Madrid, even with a depleted defense, it's going to be hard to see. Moving next, Atletico Madrid hosting Celta de Vigo. Currently, Atleti a 1 1/4 goal favorite. At home, almost all the juice on Celta away. Total is 2.5, juice very heavily to over. And honestly, Celta de Vigo coming back from 2-0 last weekend at home to Real Betis, I think spoke more to the struggles of Real Betis at this point and really every season versus expectations compared to Celta de Vigo, who just, to me, are struggling without Iago Aspas. Maybe this line's indicating and the juices right now that he might be returning. He was named to the bench last weekend, but I don't think he played and came on despite being behind. We'll see about the health there. I'm not really looking to fade Atletico Madrid, honestly, especially when they're through and not worried about Champions League as they had clinched one of the buys. I think Atleti are in great position. I don't really want much to do against them. Moving to Saturday nightcap, we have Villarreal hosting Valencia in a battle of, I guess, Valencian region sides. Villarreal a 1 goal favorite. All the juice on Valencia. Total is 2 3/4, juiced very heavily to under right now. Valencia are very juiced at +1, but I gotta say I love the goal of insurance, especially on a team that has been turning it around. Valencia have been in a disastrous tail spin until recently, where the form has turned up. They're playing a lot better, not really because, I mean, they did sign Umar Sadiq, but I mean, I don't know that he's made such an impact. But being a one goal underdog on the road to a team that you're always the bigger club in the region to does give me some interest, especially because I don't think there's like really a huge rivalry between Villarreal and Valencia, which I believe are like 40 minutes apart or so, something like that, maybe 40 kilometers. But Villarreal's defense has been really problematic. They can certainly score goals, and that is scary for Valencia, who really have struggled to do so. But Valencia's been playing well lately, and this feels like a really big overreaction to the two spots in the table right now. Moving to Sunday of Espanyol hosting Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently at Espanyol, a three-quarter goal underdog at home with more juice. Totals 2.25 juice all the way to under. Athletic Club are a great defense, and they have shown it. I don't know that they've been great defensively, though. They've conceded too many goals. And Espanyol have actually been, despite being a relegation fighter, newly promoted side to Spain, and they're promoted at Division. They've done really, really well away from home. I thought were in a game at Real Sociedad last weekend that probably wasn't that close, but they hung around, stole a penalty on a counterattack. And I really like what we've seen from the former bus driver, their manager, Manolo Gonzalez, I believe. At this point, Espanyol at home are worth a look as an underdog, especially this sizable of one. Would love to see a full goal of insurance, though I doubt we'll see that. Lean to under 2.25 and to the home underdog of 3/4 of a goal right there. Moving next to Valladolid, Real Valladolid hosting Sevilla. Currently, Real Valladolid, a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.25, juice more to the under. Valladolid, just, I mean, they've got no money. They somehow brought in Brazilian Ronaldo, and he does have a full haircut. Unfortunately, it's not the like halfway down and only hair there. Versus Mohawk. I'm not even sure what to call it. But everyone wants him out. They've been selling players left and right because they just can't seem to afford the wage bill. Kike Perez is off to a relegation fighter in Italy. We've seen Juma Ba move to Manchester City. I mean, a ton of movement. Not a lot of players coming in. Real Valladolid are in big trouble. But the nice part is they get a Sevilla side who are favored away from home, who really struggle to score goals and are coming off a Barcelona match, which was very back and forth. And Sevilla just haven't been anywhere near where their name kind of speaks to, or the bells that ring when you hear Sevilla Football Club. It's just not the same. So I'm interested in the home underdog getting half of a goal, but I think I like under 2.25 more than anything, even though Valladolid probably are likely to score more at home in their own building. Moving next to Mallorca, hosting Las Palmas. Currently, Mallorca, a 3/4 goal favorite at home. More juice on Las Palmas away. Total is 2, juiced almost all the way to over. Mallorca, to me, I mean, they've been really struggling to start 2025, but I think that's something that will be fixed. I trust Yago Arasate, their manager, and Mallorca play very well at home. The big question are, can Las Palmas, who really don't have much of an identity like they had last season with Pimienta, who had since moved on to manage Sevilla. I just don't know necessarily that I believe in either of the offenses here, and I think it's going to be hard to see 3 goals. So under 2 is my biggest interest, at least until Las Palmas get to a full goal underdog, which doesn't really look like it'll get there based on the juice right now. Real Betis then hosts Real Sociedad in the nightcap on Sunday. Real Betis a quarter goal favorite right now. All the juice on Real Sociedad total is 2, juiced all the way to over. Seeing Real Sociedad an underdog here feels like that's really good value to play the San Sebastian side. Real Betis have done very well against Real Sociedad in the past few seasons. I think knocking them out of the Copa del Rey a couple seasons ago, and really just I think winning a bunch of games up there. The difference is this Real Betis club. I don't know how you can trust them. They had the Conference League midweek while Real Sociedad were playing in Denmark in the Europa League. So that's not a great situation, especially for the road team here, Real Sociedad, as I think they went to Michelin as well. So those things aren't great and certainly kind of detract from Real Sociedad. They're a very expensive quarter goal underdog, but I like that. And I lean to under 2 as I think Real Sociedad will control the game and force Real Betis to find the net with very little possession. Moving to Monday with Barcelona, a 2-goal favorite to Rayo Vallecano. Almost all the juice on Barcelona right now, and I would expect to climb even higher. Totals 3.75, juice very heavily to under as we speak. Rayo are, I mean, the perfect team to play against Barcelona is sit deep and test the Barcelona high line. The hard part is how does that go? Because Barcelona are just so good offensively and are so hard to stop. I think Rayo, though, like I said, their setup is perfect for it. So I really am interested in Rayo getting two full goals right now on the road at a stadium in Barcelona that just to me is not intimidating. As we'll see when the Spotify Camp Nou actually comes back, but I think it might be a while till that happens. For my best bet in this in Spanish La Liga, I'm going to go Osuna 1 goal underdog at home to Real Madrid. Scary for sure, but I do think that's where I want to be with Manchester City looming midweek. Moving now to Italy, and we'll start with Saturday morning. Atalanta hosting Cagliari. Currently, Atalanta a 1.25 goal favorite with more juice. Total is 3, juice more to the under. Cagliari are a very defensive club away from home. I expect nothing different here, and I love that Atalanta are playing Champions League midweek. I think that works well for Cagliari to potentially level the playing field, though Atalanta certainly are much more talented. Lean to that 1.25 goal underdog and also to under 3. Moving next to Lazio hosting Napoli. Currently, Lazio a pick 'em right now with all the juice totals 2.25 and is juiced all the way to under. Napoli are a very defensive side. Were I guess looking to extend their lead in the Serie A table, but or equalized by Udinese. We're not able to score again. One of the few bets I've won involving Udinese, I think this season, but chalk one up for the good guys. I think Lazio are. I mean, they're lower in the table. They had a really good start to the season and kind of trailed off a little bit, but have coming around since then. I do like Lazio at home, but I don't think I want to pay this price at a very juice pick 'em right now. Saturday afternoon here in the United States, so potentially this one will change a little bit, and I expect some money to come in. For that reason, I'll wait on Lazio. Lean to the pick 'em and also on the home team, and also to the under 2.25, as Napoli and unders I think are the way to go until Antonio Conte eventually leaves for his China job. To the last matchup on Saturday, nightcap, we have AC Milan hosting Verona. Currently, Milan a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice. Total is 3, just slightly more to under. Verona really disappointing last week, I gotta say, smashed by Atalanta. Expect them that they will respond, but Milan potentially are, I guess, also a little bit vulnerable after playing Champions League midweek. Problem is, Milan, they have completely changed, retooled their roster, and it looks very scary, very attacking. And that does not play very well of a Verona defense that certainly can crumble and has crumbled under much less pressure. Moving to Sunday, we go to Fiorentina hosting Como. Currently, Fiorentina a half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Como away totals 2.5, and it's juice more to the under. Unsurprisingly, the Serie A market will probably be all over Como. They're already basically bashing them down to what will eventually close quarter goal underdog. Fiorentina will look too cheap, and they will be. I think I'm very much satisfied with backing Como at this point, as they get leads, and that's certainly worth something, but they can never hold them. And I'm sick of really being against it. It worked well when I was against it early to start the season. They found their level a little bit, but there's a big difference between Fiorentina and Como at this point. Moving next to Monza hosting Lecce, currently a pick'em. More juice on Monza. Totals 2.25, juice very heavily to under. Lecce with the dream scenario of an underdog and under finishing goalless last weekend. Nice job, Avante Lecce. And now they go on the road to a team that looks completely lost. Monza had been staying in Serie A in surprising fashion, selling off good players and then sold off, or their manager left, and they've been crumbling. Lean to Lecce, would love to see them get to a quarter goal underdog, especially because I do think that they travel like some of the best in Italy. But for now, I'll go under 2.25, as I don't really want to play a road pick 'em at this point. Udinese then hosts Empoli. Currently, Udinese a half a goal favorite with all the juice at home. Total is 2.25, just slightly more to over. Empoli to me were just a grinded out defensive team for a while. I've been really impressed with their offense this season, and I think they can cause Udinese some problems. So I lean to Empoli getting a half of a goal, also to under 2.25, though any sort of under with an Udinese involved does make me very, very concerned. We'll move next to Parma hosting Roma. Currently, Parma a quarter goal underdog at home. All the juice on Roma away. Total is 2.75. Juice slightly more to under. Parma have not looked great lately, I gotta say, but they do have the advantage of Roma having played in Europa League midweek at Porto in Portugal. Huge, huge benefit for Parma. I'm interested in that quarter goal underdog, especially because Roma have struggled so much this season away from home. Totals 2.75 and lean to under there. I still think the Parma totals are higher than they should be, and I think that matches with Roma as well. Juve then hosts Inter Milan in the nightcap on Sunday. Juventus a quarter goal underdog at home, slightly more juice on Milan away. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to over. I think Juve are going to try to keep this as low scoring as possible. I think we see that from the biggest clubs when they match up in these type of meetings. I don't really want much to do with the Juventus underdog at home, which I guess in a low scoring match, I should. So I'll put that on the list. Lean to under 2.25 as well. And last but not least, we have Monday. I already said Monza. Sorry, I almost led into that. But Genoa hosting Venezia. Currently, Genoa a half a goal underdog. Excuse me, half a goal favorite at home. Genoa minus 1/2 at home. More juice to Venezia. Totals 2.25. Juice pretty heavily to over right now. Genoa have not been scoring goals, but they haven't been defending. They have been defending very well. Venezia really struggling. Johan Poggiampalo last weekend at home to Roma gave up one penalty, and that was all the scoring in the match. I think we see another scoring match on Monday, so I'll lean to Venezia getting a half of a goal, but more interested in the under 2.25. For my best bet in Italy, I'm gonna go with. Oh man, Oh, it's very scary to go against Roma with a pretty struggling side, man. I don't know if I can do that. I'll go Monza Lecce under 2.25 goals, as I think that is the easiest one to think of, and especially days away, as that's a Sunday morning start here in the United States, and we're recording this Friday night. I guess technically Saturday if we're counting the changeovers after midnight, because it's late night with a real underscore G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. Let's move now to French League 1, and we'll start with Marseille hosting Saint Etienne. Currently, Marseille 1.75 goal favorite at home with more juice. Totals 3.5, juice all the way to under. Saint Etienne have been terrible away from home. Uh, really couldn't do much after they fell behind early to Rennes last weekend. Man, I feel like Rennes is a team I really need to make some money against and deserve better. But Saint Etienne just really couldn't ever equalize and conceded a late goal. So that was that. Don't really want to fade Marseille, even though they've been much better away from home than at home. Just not really worth it to me. Monaco then hosts Nantes. Great position for Nantes, who are visiting Monaco with a really good defensive spine that has really improved lately. And Monaco coming off a Champions League. Not much better situations than that, I must say. So give me Nantes 1 goal underdog, and I lean to under 3 as well. A very juiced under 3 as we're recording. Last on Saturday is Toulouse hosting PSG. Currently, Toulouse a 1 goal underdog at home. All the juice on PSG away. Total is 3, and the juice is more very heavily to under right now. Toulouse have been very good in these type of spots against really good teams. Really struggled with the bad ones. Still kind of scary, even though PSG do have Champions League second leg with Stade Brestois at home in Paris next week or midweek. I lean to TFC Toulouse, a 1 goal underdog at home. Moving to Sunday, we have Montpellier hosting Lyon. Currently, Montpellier, 1 goal underdog at home with almost all the juice. Totals 3.25, juice all the way to under. Lyon, again, another big favorite after they were last weekend against Lens. I just don't really think that Lyon have played well enough. They're on to a new manager again. Um, They've got great talent. They've got a lot of that sort of stuff. Montpellier have been bottom of the table and are trying to like heck in their 50th anniversary to not get relegated from Ligue 1 to Ligue 2. But I lean to the big home underdog +1, also to under 3.25. I just really wish Lyon had Europa League, but I think they got a bye, so they're safe. Lens then hosts Strasbourg. Currently, Lens a 3/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice on the road team, Strasbourg, surprisingly. Totals 2.75, just more to the under. It's pretty disappointed in Lens' performance last weekend, but now they get to change that all with Strasbourg, a very young Strasbourg team coming in. I do feel like the price is pretty big though on Strasbourg, so I lean to that 3/4 of a goal. Generally into under 2.75 as well as I do in all Lens matches, but Strasbourg are very scary for playing unders where they're pensioned for showing some talent in flashes, but also making big mistakes. Le Havre then hosts Nice in a one team trying to stay up in this division. Got a huge win at Lille last weekend. Le Havre, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. All the juice on Nice away. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to over. Le Havre, I mean, they are built to defend, and that's what they have to do. They keep selling, but I feel, yeah, they still Talcaline and many others as well. And that's not great for a team that's trying to stay in the league by the hair off their chinny chin chin or skin of their teeth or whatever phrase I should be using. Nice on their side, I mean, they've been scoring a ton of goals. It doesn't make any sense to me with a defensive manager on a defensive team that couldn't score goals. All of a sudden, they've fixed the offense and the defense has failed. But with that said, it does make me think that defense does not travel and makes me more and more interested in Le Havre, especially if they move to a full goal underdog. Lean to under 2.5 as I think Le Havre dictate the style here. The big thing is is how long can they keep Nice from scoring, or can they take a lead? Moving next to Reims hosting Angers. Currently, Reims a half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Sport Club Oeste or SCO. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to under. Angers have been playing great. I can't really look away from that. Yes, they had a tough trip or tough match against Marseille last weekend. But now they get to go to Lums, who just have really not been playing very well, and they get to go to the Champagne region and maybe toast a good performance as this newly promoted side looks to stay in the league. Lean to that half of a goal because Angers have been scoring, and that's something that makes it very difficult when a big road underdog is going to potentially threaten the net of the other team if you want to play under. Last but not least, we go to the nightcap. Stade Rennais hosting Lille in a derby in the northwest of France, if I'm not mistaken. Currently, pick 'em, slightly more juice, just 2 cents on the Rennes side. Total is 2.5, juice very heavily to under. I mean, Lille coming off of their penalty shootout loss in the Coupe de France to neighbor but second division Ligue 2 team Dunkirk, especially with a huge lead, with a late lead in like the in stoppage time in regular play, and then I think we're up 2-0 and had one penalty kick they needed to convert to win, couldn't do it. I believe in this Lille team though. They've been so good this season. I'll be waiting to see if they move to an underdog because I'd love to be against Rennes, but at this point, I'm not doing it at Pick'em. I guess lean if anything to under 2.5 because that's how Rennes have been doing. They've been conceding no goals, barely scoring any. So I guess that'll be my biggest interest as of recording this on Friday evening into the wee hours of Saturday morning. For my best bet in the Ligue 1 in France, I'm gonna go with Nantes, a 1 goal underdog at on the road at Monaco. Not the scariest place to go vacation or have a lunch like I did with my mother earlier this year, or really go into a soccer match because there's barely any fans that show up. Last but not least, we go through the German Bundesliga. I've been very hot in this league and try to keep that going. St. Pauli, they're hosting Freiburg. Currently, St. Pauli, a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Freiburg away. Total is 2.25, and it's juiced more to the under. I don't trust St. Pauli to score goals. They don't trust themselves. They've had a really bad record at home of scoring as well. I think Freiburg, who have been really, really struggling, but I got a big 1-0 win, no matter how they got it, important against the third from bottom team in Heidenheim. We're definitely fighting relegation, but somehow qualified for the Conference League last year in ninth place or eighth place or whatever they were. At this point, though, I think fading St. Pauli makes sense. I think if you're going to do that and play Freiburg, you probably want to play under, as I like that even more. So I'll go Freiburg, quarter goal underdog, and under 2.25 is my interest in that matchup. Moving next to VfL Stuttgart hosting VfL Wolfsburg. Currently, Stuttgart, a 1 goal favorite. All the juice on Wolfsburg away. Total is 3, juice all the way to over. Wolfsburg are, to me, one of the most difficult teams to play against in the German Bundesliga. Think Rayo Vallecano, think Bournemouth against good teams. Wolfsburg are going to sit in, defend, and let Stuttgart have the ball and force them to create. I really like that setup for Wolfsburg. They kept a clean sheet against Bayer Leverkusen of all teams. Yes, they're rotating, but still last weekend. I like the 1 goal of insurance, and I like under 3 in that matchup as well. Moving next to Union Berlin hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach. Currently, Union a quarter goal favorite at home with slightly more juice on Gladbach away. Totals 2.75, juice more to the under. Last week, Union did a big surprise. They had a big win. First under Stefan Baumgart as the manager of Union Berlin. They kept his back four. Which is not what they've done previously, and it worked fairly well. But was that Union, or was it that TSG Hoffenheim are a disaster and their like star goal scorer, like best goal scorer of all time, is coming out saying he can't even say what the club is because I wouldn't be here anymore if I did and told you the truth. So things are not going there well there. I think we potentially get Union Berlin overvalued. They certainly play very well at home. It just hasn't been the fortress that it's been in the past. It seems like a really tough place to play, but not results wise. So lean to Gladbach getting a quarter of a goal, lean to under 2.75. Both those things, Gladbach away and away unders with Gladbach, have been very, what do I say? Endangered species. But I do think that Union are overvalued. I'd like to be against them as a favorite. Wasn't really expecting them to be a favorite, so lean to Gladbach, the Fohlen, and the under. Next, go to Bochum hosting Borussia Dortmund. Currently, Bochum a 3/4 goal underdog at home. All the juice on Dortmund. We might get a full goal of insurance. Totals 2.75. Just very heavily to over. Bochum could have fallen flat on their face as a bottom club in the Bundesliga in Germany. Went on the road to Holstein Kiel, their biggest rival for last place. Fell behind early thanks to a ridiculous handball was deserved, but ridiculous for a defender to run out of the ball with his arm above his head. I mean, that's a penalty every time. Um, but now Bochum get blows to Dortmund coming off of their debut of Niko Kovac, who took a nice little L in his first match at home to Stuttgart, where if that's the thing, where Dortmund are the only team that can't win away, if they can't win home games, then they're going to stay in the bottom half of the table, and Niko Kovac will not be there long. They did hold on to Nuri Sahin for, I don't know, a year too long, it felt like. Bochum on the other side, I mean, we know they're going to play a conservative game. They're going to ride that crowd. It's a Riviera Derby in the area. If you're going to this matchup or going to check out Bochum, go to what they told me was the Bermuda Triangle, which really to me was pretty lame. But I guess there's not a lot to do in West Germany if you're not in Cologne. At this point, I think Bochum are the side I want. Of course, we'll be waiting to see them hit a full goal of insurance. Lean to under 2 3/4 in that matchup as well. It looks like we might get three, we might get +1. So I'd wait out and hang out until 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Time on Saturday morning here in the United States. As for the top spiel, we have Bayer Leverkusen hosting Bayern München, and really whoever's going to win these Meisterschale, it's Bayern München if they do anything but lose here. So Leverkusen have a ton to play for. They had a bye midweek in Champions League. Bayern München had to play Celtic, so that helps. Leverkusen with their bye, certainly best timing for that. They're currently a quarter goal underdog at home with almost all the juice. Totals 2 3/4, just pretty heavily to over. Very low total, I got to say, for any Bayern Munchen match. You could argue that they come in and play conservatively here because a draw will make it very hard for Leverkusen to make up 8 points the rest of the season with no remaining head-to-head matches. But Leverkusen, I mean, to me, I mean, they went to Bayern Munchen and played like the most conservative game and just basically tried to get a draw, got one, and they also knocked Bayern Munchen out of the DFB Pokal, maybe thanks to an early first red card of Manuel Neuer's career, but it happened. I lean to Leverkusen, love the quarter of a goal right now, and honestly, the total is too small for me to even think about. But we'll lean under as I expect it to be a very, very contested, competitive, low-scoring matchup. Because I think Bayern Munchen, I mean, say what you will about their offense. Of course, they score a million goals, a lot from penalties, but that's another story. Their defense has been great, leading the Bundesliga in goals conceded, like in terms of least amount of goals conceded, and that's going to test Bayer Leverkusen. And they're got some extra miles in their legs. Leverkusen have to go for a win here, so that does worry me late if it's like tied or something like that in stoppage time. But I can't imagine Leverkusen will be sending up their goalkeeper and potentially risking a loss. I think a draw. Bayern München are essentially celebrating their German championship and return of the Meisterschale. Um, and you get paid on Leverkusen. So I love that setup right there. Moving to Sunday, Werder Bremen hosting TSG Hoffenheim. One team that's been kind of struggling, but should get a bunch of players back from red cards and their manager, and that's Werder Bremen, half a goal favorite at home with more juice. Totals 3 1/4, juice all the way to under. I want nothing to do with this Hoffenheim team. I'd love to play against them as a favorite. Don't have that option here, though, unfortunately. Move next to Eintracht Frankfurt hosting Holstein Kiel. Currently, Eintracht, a 1.5 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Totals 3.5, juice all the way to under. I mean, Holstein Kiel, their chance to stay in the Bundesliga was to beat the bottom club, VfL Bochum, at home last weekend. Took an early lead and couldn't do it. Did take a point from a 2-1 deficit late, which was important, but did have a goal ruled out that was kind of soft, but I guess you can't hit somebody in the face when you're dribbling by them and get away with it in the world of the VAR. I thought they signed Michy Batshuayi of Belgian fame and formerly, I believe, of Liverpool. And we'll see what Frankfurt do. They also have an incredible youngster in Osun, who seems to be just Omar Mamouche a couple years younger. I'm not looking to back Holstein Kiel away from home in Frankfurt. So we'll move on to the last match. And that's FC Heidenheim, a quarter goal underdog at home to Mainz 05. All the juice on Mainz totals 2.5. Juices split both ways. Now, Mainz started the season out scoring a ton of goals. We're climbing into like sixth or fifth position, knocked out Bayern Munchen or beat Bayern Munchen at home. But they have not been scoring as much lately. A lot probably due to Johnny Burkhardt, the former German under 21 captain, who's amazingly still a Mainz player, still a Mainzer, at least for a little while longer. Heidenheim on the other side, they had Conference League midweek. They really need to focus on staying in the Bundesliga, but it's hard when you're playing in Europe as well. They've been rotating a lot during the Europa League, Europa Conference League season, but has to be a big matchup for them, especially at home. They're not a great defense. They've signed a lot of attackers from the Bayern Munchen youth teams. I just don't really trust Heidenheim much offensively. They are extremely slow defensively, but Mainz, honestly, I don't know that like this is the perfect matchup because I want a speedy team to really exploit Heidenheim. Mainz are kind of a in-your-face, powerful, physical side, and I think we see a very low-scoring game here. So I'll go under 2.5 in that matchup. Heidenheim hosting Mainz. And that'll do it for the German Bundesliga. I got to put a favorite bet up though to potentially put in the ultimate best bet coming up end of show. We're 30 and 10 year to date, and stick around as I got a few more things to get off my chest, and of course record that last video. I'll go Bayer Leverkusen a quarter goal underdog at home in that top spiel on Saturday is my best bet in the German Bundesliga. So now it's time for the ultimate best bet. We've been going now 40 minutes. Thank you that are with me live. I do have the comments open. If you do want to throw something out there, feel free to do so. And if I see it before we hang up, I will certainly get in on that. Otherwise, thank you for all the support across all the social media platforms. Of course, if you're one of my original Twitter gangsters at the real underscore G Warner, same on YouTube. If you want to hit subscribe, that'd be great. Also on Instagram, if you want easy access to the 1 minute reels that I put out there, which is where this ultimate best bet 30 and 10, 75% year to date comes from. Or if you want to I don't know, subscribe to Betting the Pitch on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Baseball podcast will be coming out with at A Brooks Bets. We'll be figuring out exactly what we'll be doing in the futures market. So stay tuned for that episode. Plus, we put out an episode on college basketball with Big East Ben on the Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast presented by pregame.com Podcast Network. That is out and available. So go check that out if you want to get ready for the Saturday card. I'm going to be spending the rest of my waking hours on that one, most likely. But it's time. Let's get into Ultimate Best Bet. I don't think I have anything else to plug, but thank you for the support and especially my Patreon subscribers and T who just joined. Get in there. Thanks so much for coming in. And I don't have another way to describe you besides just the letter T, and it's lowercase at that. Hey, this is real underscore G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet where I pick my favorite bet from across all the European soccer leagues I cover. We're 30 and 10, 75% so far this season. It's time to pick a best bet. From the English Premier League, like Newcastle, half a goal underdog on the road at Manchester City. In La Liga in Spain, like Osasuna, a 1 goal underdog to Real Madrid. In Serie A in Italy, like Lecce under 2.25 goals. In Liga in France, I like Nantes, a 1 goal underdog at Monaco. And German Bundesliga, I like Bayer Leverkusen, a quarter goal underdog in the top spiel at home to Bayern Munchen. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, 30 and 10 year to date, 75%. And if you want all my other plays, check out patreon.com/real underscore G Warner. I'm going to go Bayer Leverkusen, a quarter goal underdog at home, trying to hang on like they barely can to the Meisterschale to at least push back the contest a little bit longer. Take Bayer Leverkusen, a quarter goal underdog at home to Bayern Munchen. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one coming up for Champions League Monday night, likely into Tuesday.